Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
The UFC and Nate Diaz are in serious talks about an August return. And now this actually, as much as I don't buy it, is being reported by all the biggest sites and stuff, like ESPN reported it, Ariel Helwani, MMA Fighting, like everybody's reporting this. So there could be something to it. And also the date they're talking about is in California, right? Staples Center, August 4th, UFC 227, TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. It's looking like that's going to be a big card in California. So this would be a great spot for Nate Diaz to land. But the reason I'm not buying it is because Nate Diaz is supposed to have been coming back for like the last 2 years almost, dog. Literally, Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor have fought in the UFC since Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz fought at UFC 202, Conor McGregor fought at UFC 205, Ronda Rousey fought at UFC 207. Nate Diaz has not fought since UFC 202. That's 20 pay-per-views ago the last time we saw Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz. Both Nate Diaz hit the lottery, you know what I'm saying? When he beat Conor McGregor and got the rematch, he's got money. So a lot of people feel like Nate Diaz is probably just sitting out waiting on that Conor McGregor trilogy because that's the biggest fight possible. If Nate Diaz fights Conor McGregor, he's going to make as much money in that fight as he would fighting 3 other guys in the UFC. So it makes sense. As a businessman, that's a smart thing to do. Wait on the Conor McGregor rematch. But a lot of the fans don't really like that, so Nate Diaz has been doing his best, it looks like, to keep his name relevant, right? Whenever Sean O'Malley fought, he said, yo, how's he win? He can't even walk out the cage. Whenever people fight, lightweights fight, hey, whenever Khabib and Conor McGregor got into that incident, and Conor McGregor threw a dolly through the bus or whatever, he said, yo, I already punked out both of these guys' team. Bike season, whenever one of these guys entice me to come back, I'll fight. You know what, whenever they ask me nicely, I'll fight. And then, even most recently, this is what Nate Diaz had to say. Sick of sitting around and waiting for you fuckers to do shit. There's no excitement in this fight shit. Step your games up and I'll see you around May or June. So then we move the goalpost again to May or June. Now with all of these talks in August, we're moving it to August. It's like, I'm more excited about Sean O'Malley's next fight than Nate Diaz. You know, we got a new stoner in town. And I know that might piss some people off, but honestly, bro, I'm having a bad day and I really don't give a shit. But with that being said, though, I thought Nate Diaz was going to be back, as he said, in May or June. Now we're getting the big website saying, nope, it's looking like California in August, which gives him another 2 months. But this is the thing. This fight's, it looks, just because Nate Diaz is in talks doesn't mean this fight's going to happen, bro. Because he's only got one name. Check this out. Diaz, according to sources, wants to be on the card and is interested in at least one name presented to him. Although sources would not confirm who that name is. I'll tell you who I believe that name is. Out of all these lightweights, the Dustin Poiriers, the Kevin Lees, the Conor McGregor, the Tony Fergusons, the Habibs, the Eddie Alvarezes, it's probably Eddie Alvarez. And I say that because there's a little history between Nate Diaz and Eddie Alvarez. Not only have both of them fought Conor McGregor, but also they've got into it before. Like Eddie Alvarez brought it up recently. He said, yo, I beat up Nate Diaz's teammate in front of him and he didn't do shit about it. He was talking about when he fought Gilbert Melendez and Nate Diaz was cage side, and he said, I beat him up in front of his friend, essentially. Nate Diaz didn't want no smoke. He said, I don't got no problem with the Diaz brothers. I just don't like Nate. And I told Nick that. It's all good with me and Nick and stuff. I just want to fight Nate. So it might be Eddie Alvarez. He's also got the Conor McGregor rub. I feel like if Nate Diaz fights Eddie Alvarez, you're going to get to, Conor McGregor's going to be pretty much helping sell that fight because all of the damn replays and commercials are going to have Conor McGregor in it, and that's what I would do. This guy fought Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's the biggest shit since sliced bread, so of course you would want to put him in there. And you think Conor McGregor's not going to have some slick shit to say if Nate Diaz fights Eddie Alvarez? He's going to say, I fucking beat both of those guys. Both of those guys' last losses are to me. So I think that's the only name that would interest Nate Diaz. But Nate Diaz, other than that, who else is option? Kevin Lee, he's probably not big enough yet for Nate Diaz to take the fight. Honestly, probably wouldn't be a great matchup for Nate Diaz. Dustin Poirier, a guy looking like a straight killer. I just went back and watched that Dustin Poirier-Eddie Alvarez fight yesterday. Oh my God, I did not realize how much work Dustin Poirier was doing to Eddie Alvarez before the tides turned and, you know, the knee came and stuff. Dustin Poirier was fucking busting Eddie Alvarez up, dog. I suggest you go back and watch that fight. Holy smokes. But also, man, so there's Nate Diaz. Who's he going to fight? It's either going to be Conor McGregor, in my opinion, or Eddie Alvarez. But with all of these talks coming out now, and now that he's talking with the UFC about a return, this is gonna, now we got 2 more months to wait to see if Nate Diaz comes back. But hopefully, this is the thing, if he is gonna fight at UFC 227, we'll know before UFC 227. They're gonna have to announce the fight, you know, to sell the fight, put it on the UFC 227 card to sell tickets and all of that. So we'll at least know sooner than later, maybe around the time he was saying he wants to come back in June or July. What did he say, May or June? So they'll probably have to announce the fight by like June, right? So he can get into a fight camp. But all I'm saying is, as of right now, it's not going to be May or June like Nate Diaz said. Now we're pushing it 2 more months forward to August when we might see Nate Diaz. But he's still got to have the perfect right fight. I'm guessing, not the right fight, but, you know, the right amount of money and the right amount of... It's going to be hard to get Nate Diaz in that octagon. I mean, he hasn't fought since UFC 202. So we'll see what happens, man. But as of right now, the word on the streets... And these are the mainstream steeds. I'm talking about ESPN.com, MMA Fighting, motherfucking Ariel Helwani's Twitter. The UFC is in serious talks with Nate Diaz for an August return. Even though Nate Diaz wanted to come back in May or June. And even though Nate Diaz wanted to come back whenever people asked him nicely. And even though Nate Diaz wanted to come back whenever people made him really want to fight. And even though Nate Diaz wanted to come back after bike season. And okay, I'm just saying, Nate Diaz, when you coming back, bro? Can we see some? And there's even talks about Nick Diaz coming back. Who's Nick Diaz gonna fight in his return fight? Is it gonna be Michael Bisping? Is it gonna be George St. Pierre? I mean, the Diaz brothers are on the outside, kind of, I don't want to say playing us like fools, because if they're not playing us. They're doing their own fucking thing, living life. Yeah, we all want to see them fight because they're big names and, you know, they're big to the sport and they're polarizing figures. They're fun to watch. Yeah, we all want to see the Diaz brothers fight. But if you're the Diaz brothers, nigga, I'm literally living life right now. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Oh, you want to see me fight? I'm sure you do. Cut the check, bitch. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, the date has been pushed forward from May or June to August. Let the full-time family know what you think about Nate Diaz's return in the comments. And also, who do you think the opponent he's interested in that's not Conor McGregor? I would guess Eddie Alvarez. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.